Welcome to the week that was, TIOL's News Roundup. We have for you today 14 stories featuring news from the PM's London visit, news from the courts and forums, some cyber reports and trends, some new reforms, a profile, and a feature on the Goan psyche. Now for some cultural news. Madame Tussauds, the famous wax museum in London, may soon become a tourist attraction in New Delhi. Yes, New Delhi. After Delhi Eye, designed on the lines of London Eye, offering a vast view of the city, Madame Tussauds is now all set to open a venture in New Delhi. After all, its section on Bollywood stars, especially Amitabh Bachchan and Shah Rukh Khan, are some of the most popular. The launch of Madame Tussauds in Delhi will feature as part of the celebrations in 2017, marking India-UK Year of Culture and India's 70th anniversary of independence. Merely, the parent group of Madame Tussauds will invest £50 million in India over 10 years, rolling out other UK favourites such as Sea Life aquariums and Legoland Discovery Centres across Indian cities. This cultural exchange will extend to literary works too, like Shakespeare. The British Library shall digitize 200,000 pages of its South Asian archives, making Indian books over 200 years, from 1714 to 1914, accessible across the globe. This announcement was made in London during Indian Prime Minister Mr. Narendra Modi's UK visit. Now for some news about Bonanza from the Pay Commission, from Richa.
Costing a neat sum of over Rs 1 lakh crore to the Exchequer, the 7th Pay Commission has recommended a pay hike of over 23% to over 47 lakh central government employees and 52 lakhs pensioners. The Commission has recommended a minimum pay of Rs 18,000 and a maximum of Rs 2.5 lakh per month for the post of Cabinet Secretary. The key highlights are, since the basic pay has been revised upwards, the Commission recommends that HRA be paid at the rate of 24%, 16% and 8% of the new basic pay for class X, Y and Z cities respectively. All non-interest bearing advances have been abolished. Regarding interest bearing advances, only personal computer advance and house building advance have been retained. House building allowance ceiling has been increased to Rs 25 lakhs from the present Rs 7.5 lakhs. Commission has recommended enhancement in the ceiling of gratuity from the existing Rs 10 lakh to Rs 20 lakh. The Commission has recommended introduction of the performance-related pay for all categories of central government employees based on quality result framework and reformed annual performance appraisal reports. Let's move to Asha for some more news from London.
Most Indian guests bring along a gift for the host. But what does one carry for someone who has everything? Specifically, what did the Indian Prime Minister carry for the Queen of England on his recent visit to the UK? The Prime Minister went laden with gifts at his luncheon with the Queen, which included Darjeeling tea from the renowned Makkaiberry estate in West Bengal, organic honey from Jammu and Kashmir, and the ornate Tanchoy stoles from Varanasi in Uttar Pradesh. But the gift which would have touched the Queen's heart were her photographs on her first visit to India in 1961, 54 years ago, when the Queen had visited several Indian cities. In these photographs, the Queen is seen being presented a cake to mark the first birthday of Prince Andrew, and even riding an elephant in Varanasi, the parliamentary constituency of Prime Minister Modi.
A government that has worked to simplify business and tax procedures and even exempted traders from random rates is bound to see red when its main source of revenue from value-added tax is threatened. The Kejriwal government in Delhi had expected a 33% rate of growth in its primary source of revenue from VAT for 2015-16. But in spite of increase in VAT on petrol and diesel, the government has achieved a revenue growth of only 15% so far. It had to face the bitter truth that tax evasion continues. The Delhi government then came down heavily against tax evaders this week. The Trade and Taxes Department raided a private firm and seized imported LED television worth Rs 50 crore. The firm had not even registered with the department. The firm had evaded tax of about Rs 10 crore and was illegally selling imported LED TVs in the Karol Bagh area. Addressing a session of PhD Chambers of Commerce members, the Chief Minister Mr. Arvind Kejriwal announced that the Delhi government will soon make submission of false and fictitious VAT declaration a cognizable offence. The Rail Ministry goofed up in the Rail Budget 2015, but has woken up 7 months later to make rectification. The ministry announced that the minimum passenger fare for a single non-suburban train journey would go up from Rs 5 to Rs 10 with effect from November 20th. Earlier, as proposed in the rail budget, the price of only the platform ticket was revised from Rs 5 to Rs 10 from April 2015 to reduce crowding on platforms. So, smart visitors always eager to make a saving opted to buy the minimum single journey second class ticket for Rs 5 instead of buying the platform ticket for Rs 10. The railway realized the error and have increased the minimum price of a non-suburban single journey second class ticket to bring it at par with the platform ticket charges. Not a day too soon. Now for some internet news from Asha.
Now for some telecom news. Internet is perhaps as important as air for young users, driving the growth of internet usage. India is all set to overtake America as the second largest internet user base in the world by next month. China takes the lead with 600 million subscribers. As per a report by the Internet and Mobile Association of India and IMRB International, the number of internet users will be more than 400 million by December 2015. Interestingly, while it took more than a decade to go from 10 million internet users to 100 million, it took only 3 years to increase this number of users to 200 million and then only 1 year to 400 million. While the urban user base in the 8 metro cities and around expanded by almost 40%, the growth in rural India recorded a growth of 77%. Mobile phones were the main driver for growth of the user base in rural India, which is more than 85 million. Another interesting note in the report was that while online communication was the primary purpose to access the net in urban India, in rural areas, entertainment and social networking motivated the users. Surprisingly, gaming through social networking sites picked up among 36% of the rural users, up by 16% over last year. On to Richa for some more internet news. Cyber sickness.
While on the internet, there is a heartening news for those who feel dizzy or nauseous scrolling through a smartphone while traveling in a vehicle. They are not alone. A closely guarded secret is now out. International medical and media experts have found that watching movies or playing computer video games or even scrolling through a smartphone may cause digital motion sickness, also called cyber sickness. The symptoms make the person feel dizzy, nauseous, or even suffer a dull headache. This is because while playing a video game, for instance, you see movement that you do not feel. Such mismatch between sensory input affects the sense of balance, which is different from other senses. Women are more sensitive to cyber sickness than men. Now for some somber news.
The doyen of Indian intelligence, Mr. Sankaran Nair, is no more. He passed away at his Bangalore residence on Tuesday. He was 94. As the former chief of the Research and Analysis Wing, RAW, the spy master played a key role in the liberation of Bangladesh in 1971. He was involved in the covert operations against Pakistan in Bangladesh and helped to train and mobilize the Mukti Bahini guerrilla movement against the Pakistan army in Bangladesh. Mr. Nair became the RAW director in 1977. He even stood up to the then Prime Minister Morarji Desai, who wanted closure of all operations in Pakistan and neighboring countries. He resigned as RAW director on moral grounds 3 months after taking on the position. Later, Mr. Nair worked shoulder to shoulder with another former Prime Minister, Rajiv Gandhi, in safely organizing the Asian Games in India despite terrorist threats. He was awarded a Padma Bhushan for this accomplishment. Mr. Nair's memoirs titled Inside IB and RAW, The Rolling Stone That Gathered Moss, was published in 2008. He was affectionately called Colonel Menon. On to Richa for an offbeat profile.
We introduce India's first minister for cow protection in the state of Rajasthan. Meet Mr. Uttaram Devasi, a cowherd who rose in position to serve as the chairman of Rajasthan Livestock Board before finding his way into the politics. He won the state assembly election from Sirohi twice on a BJP ticket in 2008 and then in 2013. He was appointed as Rajasthan Gaupalan Mantri or Cow Minister. His mission is to revive the country's cow economy. Mr. Devasi was recently instrumental in launching a floor disinfectant made from cow's urine, which is being tested in a state government hospital and may replace the use of phenyl. He also heads other cow-based projects for making mosquito repellent from cow urine and even incense sticks from cow dung, besides promoting the use of cow dung cakes for conducting havans. These products from cow dung and cow urine have the potential of yielding about Rs 300 per day, many times higher than the monetary yield from milk. His idea is to project the cow as an economically valuable animal long after it stops yielding milk. Now for our final news feature on Goa, the gateway to Europe.
All passports are not equal. Who understands this better than any Indian who has travelled or migrated overseas and submitted loads of documentation? But many Indians in the state of Goa may not face such challenges. They have a ready opportunity from Portugal to bypass such stringent regulations. Goans are increasingly trading their Indian passports for a Portuguese one, a passport that promises visa-free access to 192 countries and an opportunity to work almost anywhere in Europe and the UK. So what's the catch? The price involves giving up the right to buy agricultural land in India and the right to participate in Indian elections. Many Goans are willing. Between January and August 2015, nearly 3,000 Goans have surrendered their Indian passports after obtaining Portuguese citizenship, including the non-resident Goans settled in the Middle East. The numbers have nearly doubled over last year. Going by the trend, most of these Goans with their families may head straight to UK, which provides more employment opportunities than Portugal. Undoubtedly, Britain resents that Goan Indians with a Portuguese heritage are taking advantage of a legal loophole which permits them to immediately avail the same benefits as available to UK citizens without meeting any qualification test. But for these Indians, they are only reclaiming a right by taking the ticket proffered by Portugal. Goa, as you may recall, was a Portuguese colony for 450 years until its liberation by the Indian Army in 1961. The Indian Armed Forces had invaded Goa to free it from Portuguese rule. As per the Portuguese, these Indians lost their citizenship and had Indian citizenship thrust on them. Hence today, Portugal recognizes the Indians born in Goa before 1961 as well as their children and grandchildren as Portuguese citizens, provided their names are registered with the Central Registry of Births in Lisbon. However, as India does not allow dual citizenship, Goans born in Goa before 1961 are Indians until they apply to claim and receive Portuguese citizenship and surrender their Indian passports. Nearly 4 lakh Goans have become Portuguese citizens since Portugal joined the European Union in 1986, but many of them did not surrender their Indian passports. The case of the 2 Goan MLAs illegally elected to Goa's Legislative Assembly when found to be Portuguese citizens is still pending before a Goa bench of the Bombay High Court. Meanwhile, Goans torn between their home in Goa, blessed with sun and sand and cold Europe, have demanded from the Indian government the right to dual citizenship to enjoy South Asian comfort as well as European opportunities. But consider this, how radically different is the nature of the colonizer. While Portugal, as a colonist, treated its Goan subjects as equals, Britain never did. A Goan, the popular mayor of Lisbon, was recently chosen as a prime ministerial candidate for next year's polls. Even today, Portugal recognizes the right for citizenship of Indians born during its rule, as well as their descendants. Will France provide such a facility for Indians in Pondicherry? Or even Britain, as a former colonizer, offer Indians the same right as the price for colonization? Something to ponder about. On this note, we conclude this bulletin of the week that was. Please do write us your comments, criticism, counsel, and even news at editor@tiol.in. You may subscribe to TIOL Tube to remain updated on our new posts. Thank you for watching and staying with us. Have a cool weekend ahead.